The air in our living room felt thick, like it was holding its breath, as Sarah's words hung between us. Let's try freedom. Her eyes, usually warm like autumn leaves, were sharp, glinting with something I couldn't name. Defiance, maybe, or guilt. I stood frozen, my coffee mug burning my palm, while the life we'd built over 12 years seemed to crack like thin ice underfoot. We'd been married since our mid-20s, 2 kids who thought love was enough to weather anything. Sarah was my anchor. Her laugh could pull me out of any storm, her touch a quiet promise that we'd always find our way back to each other. But that night, as the clock ticked past midnight and our kids slept upstairs, her suggestion of freedom wasn't a playful nudge toward spontaneity. It was a blade, slicing through the trust I'd carried like a shield. What do you mean, freedom? I asked, my voice low, trying to keep the tremor out. I set the mug down, the clink against the table louder than it should have been. She leaned back on the couch, crossing her arms, her blonde hair catching the lamplight. I feel trapped, Mark. Don't you? Like we're stuck in this routine, this house, this life. I want to feel alive again. I stared at her, searching for the woman who'd cried with me when we lost our first pregnancy, who'd danced with me in our kitchen to old jazz records. Trapped? The word stung, but I swallowed it. Okay, I said, forcing calm. Let's talk about it. What kind of freedom do you need? Her gaze flicked away, landing on the window where rain streaked the glass. I don't know. Space maybe. To figure out who I am outside of us. My chest tightened, but I nodded. Space. Sure. I thought she meant a weekend away, maybe time with her friends. I didn't know she'd already found her freedom. Outside our marriage, in someone else's arms. The next few weeks were a slow unraveling. Sarah started staying out late, claiming book club meetings or yoga classes. Her phone, once left carelessly on the counter, was now glued to her hand, its screen angled away from me. I tried to ignore the signs, telling myself I was paranoid. But doubt is a quiet poison. It seeps in, taints everything. I'd lie awake at night, her side of the bed cold, wondering if I'd failed her somehow. One evening, I found her phone unlocked on the kitchen table while she was in the shower. My heart pounded as I picked it up, guilt warring with suspicion. I opened her messages and there it was, a thread with Chris. Not her brother, not a coworker, but some guy whose words made my stomach churn. Last night was incredible, he'd written. When can I see you again? Her reply, soon. I'm working on it. The phone slipped from my hand, clattering onto the counter. The sound echoed in my skull as the room spun. I wanted to scream, to confront her, but all I could do was stand there, drowning in the betrayal. She'd been living a double life, and I'd been too blind or too trusting to see it. When she emerged from the bathroom, towel wrapped and humming softly, I couldn't hold it in. Who's Chris? I asked, my voice sharp enough to cut through her melody. Her face paled, but only for a moment. Then her jaw set, and she looked at me like I'd invaded her privacy. You went through my phone? Don't turn this on me, Sarah. Who is he? My voice cracked, betraying the hurt I was trying to bury. She sighed, sitting on the edge of the couch, her hands twisting in her lap. He's someone I met at yoga. It's nothing serious, Mark. I just needed something for me. Nothing serious? I laughed, a bitter sound that didn't feel like mine. You're sneaking around lying to my face, and it's nothing serious? What about us? What about the kids? Her eyes filled with tears, but they didn't move me. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said. I felt so lost. You're always working or with the kids, and I'm just here fading away. Chris makes me feel seen. I wanted to shake her, to make her see how her words tore me apart. Instead, I walked away, grabbing my keys and leaving her in the silence of our fracturing home. I drove aimlessly, the city lights blurring through my tears. I'd given her everything, my heart, my future, my trust, and she'd traded it for someone who saw her. Days turned into weeks, and we became strangers sharing a house. I moved into the guest room, unable to sleep beside her. The kids, Emma and Lucas, sensed the tension, their wide eyes asking questions I couldn't answer. I tried to keep things normal for them, but every smile felt like a lie. Sarah, meanwhile, leaned into her freedom. She'd come home late, her perfume mixed with a scent I didn't recognize, her laughter hollow when she played with the kids. I hired a private investigator, not because I wanted proof, but because I needed to know how deep the betrayal ran. The photos he sent, Sarah and Chris at a cafe, her hand on his arm, their heads bent close, were a punch to the gut. But worse was the email he intercepted. One Sarah had written but never sent. I love you, Chris, but I can't leave yet. The kids and Mark, he's still part of me. Reading those words, I felt like I was suffocating. She loved him. And me? I was just a tether she hadn't cut loose. I confronted her again, this time with the photos, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Is this your freedom, Sarah? Sneaking around, breaking our family apart? She didn't deny it. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face, whispering, I'm sorry. But sorry couldn't undo the lies, the nights I'd spent wondering where she was, the trust she'd shattered. I moved out the next week, taking an apartment across town. The kids stayed with me half the time, their confusion a mirror of my own. Sarah begged me to stay to work things out, but I couldn't. Every time I looked at her, I saw Chris's hands on her, his name in her heart. I filed for divorce, each signature a knife to my own chest. Months passed, and I started rebuilding. Therapy helped me untangle the guilt and anger, the questions of whether I'd pushed her away. I dated again, cautiously, meeting Lauren, a kind woman whose laughter didn't carry the weight of betrayal. She wasn't Sarah, but she was honest, and that was enough. Sarah, though, struggled. I heard from mutual friends that Chris had moved on, leaving her to face the wreckage of her choices. She called me late one night, her voice raw. Mark, I made a mistake. I thought freedom would save me, but I lost everything. Can we try again? I stood in my quiet apartment, the kids' drawings on the fridge, Lauren's scarf draped over a chair. Sarah's voice stirred memories of love, but they were drowned out by the pain she'd caused. No, I said softly. You wanted freedom, Sarah. Now you have it. I hung up, my heart heavy but resolute. She was alone, not because I'd left, but because she'd chosen a path that led nowhere. I'd moved on, not to erase her, but to reclaim myself. The rain outside my window fell harder, washing away the last traces of the life we'd shared, leaving only the promise of something new.